Leicester City have a penalty kick in the 6th minute of injury time.
Knockout takes, Almunia saves, knockout follows in, Almunia saves again.
And now Watford are on the counter-attack.
Forestieri.
Oh, I don't believe this.
Here's Hawk. Deeney.
I do not believe what I've just seen. Troy Deeney has scored from a Leicester penalty that was saved by Almunia.
Do not scratch your eyes. Do not scratch your eyes. Do not scratch your eyes.
Hello and welcome to the Do Not Scratch Your Eyes podcast live. I'm Justin.
I'm Carl.
And I'm Peter.
And Carl and I have got absolutely no idea what's happening. Peter's got all sorts of things planned and we're sitting there going,
Yeah.
What happens? You better explain, Pete, I guess.
Wish us luck.
Per normal, because I always love it whenever we're talking to somebody who actually wants to talk to us about how do you do podcasting then? And we go, we've got no fucking clue whatsoever. And whenever we do that, Justin says, we do no preparation at all. No, you don't.
This is true. Yeah, this is true.
I do very little. I just turn up.
Yeah, absolutely. You just show up and give us the money shot, if you'll excuse the image. No, today, and we want you to take part in it, you good people watching on either YouTube or Twitter, if Twitter's decided to work this time, God alone knows, in the Do Not Scratch Your Eyes House of Games. Yes, absolutely. Always and ever plagiarizing from any game show that we can possibly take. Let's take it from that one. I mean, Richard Osman's got enough money, to be quite frank. He's just announced his latest 5th book. So there we go. This is the kind of shit that happens when stupid people organise an international break. What else are you going to do? So there we go. So before we get to the first one and just let people kind of come in for a little bit, what do we think about Oxford? Well, it wasn't a great performance, and yet Tom came out afterwards and said we controlled 35 minutes of the second half. Did we control it, or did it just not look like they were going to do anything until that sending off? Carlos, you were there.
Yeah, I was there. I've got to say, I think, we give Tom credit where it's due, but I think also, he's been at the job a while now. I think he got it wrong. I think he got that team wrong. Not starting a striker at the beginning of the game is just a bit weird to me. I know the striker in question is a loose term. However, that is technically his position to play, and we're playing Sissoko on the wing, and we're pinging the ball up because we're almost matching Oxford in smashing the ball up the top of the field, and we've got a player that's probably as tall as me, which isn't very tall, trying to compete, and it just didn't look right from the very off, and I think speaking to fans before the game, there was a lot of people that were a bit worried about that game and thought Oxford, because they're at home and they're desperate to stay up, and I think they will now. We just didn't turn up, and it was poor. The ending, for anybody that wasn't there, didn't see it, there was a lot of booing in the away end, which I found a bit odd. But I think that was more from frustration than anything else.
Aimed at the team.
Don't know. Tom Cleverley was walking over to clap us, and there was a lot of booing. Look, I'm not for an instant suggesting that people want to see the back of Tom, because I don't believe that, but I think it's fair to say he got that wrong. And he's allowed that as well, by the way, because he is still a new manager, but the team selection wasn't right. And we never looked at any point like we were going to be in the game. I thought Oxford did a bit of a number on us. I've had a few Oxford supporters on the vlog commenting that I've been rather disrespectful to them as a club. It's not my fault you got 3 fucking stands, is it? So, so that's it, really. Look, we've been beaten. We've been beaten by a team that tried harder than us and had an end product. And it's as simple as that. And we go on to another game against Plymouth, where Plymouth will turn up at Vicarage Road, probably with their last chance of being involved in a battle to stay up, and we're going to have our wits about us there, and it's going to be interesting to see Tom's team selection for that game.
I sent a message to Fraser, the Oxford podcast guy.
Yeah, nice guy.
At 4:26, so that would have been halfway through the second half, probably.
Yeah.
And I put still awake. This is about as dull as football gets, and he replied, I did perk up around 81 minutes, but yes, I'll well as fuck throughout. So it was as boring for Oxford as it was for us, by the looks of things.
It was. No, look, it was a poor game. But you can't take anything away from Oxford. They did a number on us, as I've said, and it's bitterly disappointing. Luckily, it was only a short trip up the road, thankfully, which is good.
Yeah.
Never mind. Well, I mean, Robert Allen has said all changed with the sending off. It absolutely did.
Yeah.
Which is true. Also, just for laughs, Luton, very much so. Exactly. And I think it's important to say that we will obviously be derogatory about Oxford, but also about everybody else in the Championship.
Yeah, of course we will. No, we'll keep it fair.
Too right indeed. Right. So I think it's the first stint before we might go and have some look at some Q&As or what have you, or something or other, that we turn to the House of Games. Now I'm gonna you can absolutely stick in your answers on this, everybody. The first game we are going to play, he says, jumping between many slides, is If I Had the Wings of a Sparrow. I think you all know what the second lyric is for that.
It's a sparrow, is it? Right.
Well, that is a sparrow because it's wearing Watford colours. I mean, I challenge you to make a better sparrow in Watford colouring. I won't be waiting for long. But look, we all know that this is Watford, and we all recognise it from the air, even though it's a slightly old picture. There's no Elton John mural on the side, for example, but we all know it's there. I'm now challenging you. Can you two idiots identify other clubs from the air? Now, bearing in mind, on occasions, Justin will be troubled to recognise teams with the name and the badge on in front of them. We will see how this goes. Are you ready? And what I want you to do is call out.
Are we working together?
No. I want you two up against each other, and I want
Thank you, Peter.
Anybody in the comments, throw it in as soon as you can, and we will see with the jiggery pokery of technology whether or not you can get it in as to who you think it is. So it's Justin versus Carl versus the world. Everybody, whoever gets the first right answer in, it's all good. The first ground to be seen aerially is this one. Who beat this team? Carlos. Straight away, who are you calling?
Oh, I've changed. I'm going to say Barnsley. Oakwell.
I've got to say, that is impressive. That is impressive, and that's not been anything we've ever been able to say about Carl before. I mean, it's a very, very strange thing to think about. That Carl, you could be impressive. I'm absolutely enamoured with this. This is excellent stuff. Right, let's get round to the next one. One to Carl, everybody. Come on, pick up your game. There we go. Where are we? Crikey, I'm shooting between everything. Which ground is this? Carlos?
Gillingham.
Well, yeah, okay. I'd say
it's Gillingham.
How did you know this? How did you know that's Gillingham? Come on, how did you know that was Gillingham?
I've been there, and this is my area of expertise. It's away grounds, isn't it? I've been to quite a lot.
Yeah, I know, but you didn't see it from the air, right?
I'm often dropped by a helicopter as I.
That would explain it.
Yeah, that explains it.
In fairness, the overriding temptation to drop, Carl from a helicopter, I can well understand. Game, he's 2-0 up, everybody. Come on. We need this. Third one.
Carl.
Justin, Everton.
I'm going to go across to Justin because he said Everton because he was so wrong. Have you seen the latest Everton?
It looks.
No, I thought that was the old one. All right, Chelsea.
You're wrong. No, you don't just get to keep going.
Can I have a go?
Go on.
I think it's Ipswich, Portman Road.
Incorrect. The first answer that we get in from on the banner.
Oh, okay.
Which is what we need.
Carl.
No, you can't keep going. You can't keep going.
Is it Michael now?
No, shut up. Let the people come in. I'm waiting for. We're not getting. There we go. WFC 1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
look at that because it's Elland Road. It is right. Elland Road indeed. Well done. So,
we only get one go at it.
You only get one go at it. You can't. Otherwise, you just.
Do you remember the episode of The Office at the end when there's a tiebreaker, and it's which Shakespeare played as so does this character appear, and he keeps going more and more. He goes, no, you only said it was to give the first answer. You didn't say who he didn't get one go. It's very much reminds me of that. I feel like this moment.
It's also the wonderful episode which ends with the line of, "He's thrown a shoe over a pub. What have you
What
done?"
have you ever done? That's it. Yeah. What did you say the name of the leader of Cuba was? Fray Bentos. Yes, we could go on like this one.
Enough of the office. Let's get back to this. The next ground.
Carl.
Who be this? Carl, you're in quick. Who are you saying?
Stoke City.
Yeah, but you used to work there, so you would know that, wouldn't you?
Bet 365. Oh, I'm sorry, Justin. The next one will be of the Trenton Monkey Forest because you've been there. Does that even it all out?
Much easier. Thank you, Peter. I'd like that.
Carl 3, Audience 1. Well, most specifically WFC 123 one, which is very good. Okay, here we go. Next one.
Carl.
Justin Spurs.
No, Carl.
Norwich.
Norwich City.
Justin, you're rubbish. Carlos, you're 4-1 up. Carl, you're doing well on this. Who is this? Oh, no,
Justin, Notts County.
Notts County, yeah. Give him that one.
That's because I fucked it up. I'm sorry, everybody. What can I say? Yes, Notts County. We're going to give Justin that for
Thank you.
to try to insert some jeopardy into this nonsense. Right, who is this? Where is this?
Carl, Leighton Orient.
Fuck me, you're really good at this, Carl. I've got to say. I mean, we've looked long and hard for something that Carl is good at, and I think we found it.
I bet you thought this round would go on longer than 2 minutes, didn't you? When you devised
No.
it?
No. This is very good. Where be
Carl,
this?
Carl.
Go on.
Port Vale.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I am just so impressed with this. This is amazing, Carlos. This is your game. Where is
Justin,
this?
Man United.
No, it's not. Carl, Charlton Athletic.
Oh God, I was there in May.
Yes. And hold on, you were there for that Sky Sports thing that we saw very briefly, and you got moved because what was your face described as?
I wasn't looking. What was the word? Whatever it was, enthusiastic.
More enthusiastic. I support Watford.
Yeah,
I support Watford like that.
Difficult as a Watford fan, isn't it? It's
It is very difficult. I was thinking,
Melanie's calling you out, Carl. She's calling you a cheat. Yeah.
I can't help but I've been to these places, Melanie. It's not my fault, is it?
Yeah, but you haven't been above them in the air. Where's this?
Carl.
Oh, fuck off, Carl. Go on, Carl.
Milton Keynes, MK Dons.
It's soulless ground. Zero. Where is this?
Carl, Peterborough.
I'm genuinely impressed. I'm so sorry, everybody. I thought they were going to struggle and that everybody was going to get a chance. Look at this. WFC 123 came in with MK. He got that straight away. Yeah, it's the posh. Crying out loud. This is very good. This is very good indeed. Right. Well, that's the end of it.
Well, that's
the first round.
That's
the first round. You know, I think that's very reasonable to say. Carl, I'm astonished at how well you've identified these from the air. Do you normally use like Google Maps, or do you just go, fuck it, we'll get Jason to drive?
No, a lot of fuck it, get Jason to drive. But yeah, no, I've been to a lot of grounds. So even Port Vale, places like that. So yeah, but you've used some old photos there. Like Oakwell could have been a tricky one because it was the old stand that you had there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, I've got to say, you're 10-1 up. And, Justin's got one. The crowd have got one.
Justin got one because you gave it to him.
Oh, yeah, Notts County. I know Notts County when I see it.
And Melanie called me a cheat.
Oh, that might be who she was referring to as a cheat, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she didn't specifically say it was you. So
fair play, Mel.
Never mind. Well, before we go into the next round, I believe we may have. Did you request some questions from?
I have questions
on X and Twitter.
The first one is, again, a food one. We like a food question on here, don't we? This comes from,
let's get away from football.
Yeah, Colin Hosier. What's your go-to happy meal, a meal that you think, sod it, I'm going to have it? It could be a sausage or bacon sandwich or a cup of tea or a Chinese Indian takeaway with wine or beer with McDonald's or a soft drink. So basically, what is your go-to, sod it, I'm going to have that meal? For me, if I think, oh, sod it, I'm going to have that meal, Zach's, which is on the corner of opposite Vicarage Road, sort of opposite the hospital on the corner there. They do a very good large fillet tower meal, and if you order it on Uber Eats, it comes within about 15 minutes. It's one of the fastest come round on Uber Eats meals that there is around here. The longest would obviously be Pepe's Piri Piri, where you can wait 2 hours for that to turn up. But yeah, so that would be mine. It would be a Zach's large fillet tower meal. That'd be mine.
Is this a double-edged question? In as much as Happy Meal would obviously normally be affiliated with other things. Yeah?
No, it means it's a meal that makes you happy, not which Happy Meal would you
Okay.
like and which toy would you like in your Happy Meal. No.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Mine's Chinese. I do like a Chinese. Unfortunately, the owner of the Chinese. You're there, Justin. You okay,
You know me and Chinese, mate.
I know, yeah. But the owner of the Chinese at the bottom of Vicarage Road, just on the edge of the precinct there, he passed away some time ago. But we used to call him Poison Tony. And we still went there, which was amazing. But yeah, it was a very nice Chinese. But I used the one on Whippendale Road, which, if you ever go into it, was an old fish and chip shop, and they've never really removed any of the artifacts in there.
Happy Garden
or something next to Tesco Express on Whippendale Road.
Yes.
But the food is banging, very good. So yeah, that's mine.
Well, you see, Chinese is slightly different, though, isn't it? Because there's many dishes within Chinese. I remember once, the first time I ever experienced chicken with cashew nuts in yellow bean sauce, right, was one of those horrific things when you're out with work, and it was like, I was very young, and it was like, and I found this thing, and it was like placed in front of me, and I basically kind of seemingly ate the entire portion on behalf of the entire table because I just would refuse to stop. The combination of two things that I never knew worked, let alone the fact that yellow bean sauce was a thing. I just, and as ever, as anybody knows, my way to get over something is to remove temptation by instantly yielding to it. So I ate the whole thing. So that's always a nice touch. But no, I think you can't beat a bacon sarnie. You cannot. I've tried to beat a bacon sarnie. It's no good. So it doesn't work. So I just prefer to eat it.
Go with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's the bakery in Croxley at the bottom of the hill? What's it called?
Oh,
Simmons. Yeah, Simmons in Chorleywood. If I have to go the long way through Chorleywood, I normally do stop off for a bacon sarnie in there because that is good.
Obviously, for any vegans or vegetarians, I still eat a bacon sandwich. Sorry about that. Yeah.
I'll eat it for you. Yeah.
Doesn't really help much. Okay, well, there you go. That's the first food one. What next do we move on to? What's the next question?
Another question? Oh, sorry, I didn't know.
The next one. Yeah.
Okay. We could be a while on this one. This comes from Wendover Horn. We know Wendover. Could you play an attacking 4-4-2 in a modern game? I say you could. Others say you will get outnumbered in midfield. Simple. Bypass the midfield. So he's going for the long ball over the top. 4-4-2. Can 4-4-2 work in the modern game? I'm not a tactician, and I'd give it a go.
I don't see why not. I think 4-4-2's been kind of ousted as a relic in football. I think a lot of the grassroots teams, there's still a lot of grassroots that play 4-4-2 in the lower leagues. So yeah, I don't see why not. But I don't know if a long ball scenario would necessarily work. But 4 in the midfield, packs out the midfield, 2 up front, which is something that we would die for at the moment, and 4 at the back. Me personally, I prefer a 4 with the 2 wingers pressed up in the middle, 2 holding midfielders, 2 winger, pushed up wingers, and then 2 strikers. So not quite a 4-4-2, so more of a 4-2-2-2 is more my. If I was going to be a tactician and take on Pete in a charity match as another manager, that was the
Javi Grazia thing, wasn't it? The 4-box-2, as they called it.
Yeah.
And you'd have Pereira and Will Hughes when everybody thought of Will Hughes as a winger before Nigel Pearson went, he's really good there. And we went, oh yeah, right, okay. But of course, you had Decore, and it comes down to me when you say you've got 4 in midfield. I don't think 4 in midfield traditionally is 4 in the centre of midfield. Most teams want to try to flood the midfield with 3 bodies in there. Now, when we had Decore and we had Capoue, and they wanted to play for Watford, we were able to play 4-4-2. I mean, the best example of that was probably Quique Sanchez Flores in his first season, and we played a 4-4-2. But we've got to remember that was 15 years ago. So, I mean, my preferred formation, and I was playing this having spoken to a guy called Don Howe, who was the assistant England manager with Terry Venables in the '96.
Arsenal manager, right? Wasn't
And he was, yeah. And I used the formation that they basically used there, which was a 3-4-1-2 or a 3-5-2, because if you're, but at the time in the start of the 2000s or the end of the '90s, every other team was playing, as Carl said, 4-4-2. So it was, well, you can get a jump on them in the middle. You've still got two up front. You can get support to the midfield from your advanced midfielder. And most players were playing two up front. And if you're playing three at the back, two markers, one as a sort of Catenaccio or Libre, a sweeper, it worked really well. You'd get done out wide on occasions, but if you get your wing backs to show inside, you compact them onto where you're strong. That was how I played, was very good. But the game has indeed moved on. You talked about Wendover. He was having oh crikey, I don't know whether or not it was a chat, a discussion, but it ended up becoming a nice kind of discussion, I thought, between him and EIEIO, who was saying, no, the game's moved on. Look at it. There's 4-3-3, there's 4-2-3-1. There's a number of ways. Fundamentally, at this moment in time, it is entirely fashionable, shall we say, and I am going to use that word, to play 4 and a 2 and a 3 and a 1. That tends to be what it is, and we tend to see width coming from the fullbacks. The fullbacks, you've also seen the tendency to follow what Pep has done and get fullbacks pushing into the central midfield when you've got possession and you've pushed them up, pushed up field, because people don't tend to kind of break down the wide. They'll tend to come directly. So you kind of put them in there. So, yes, it can do. The problem is if you play a 4-4-2 and you decide to, quote unquote, take out the midfield, bypass the midfield, then you're only, basically kind of utilizing that midfield space when you haven't got the ball and trying to defend. I understand what he means. We did that in the early 80s, but we did that because Barnes and Callaghan, who were the players on either wing, we had Ross Jenkins and we had Luther Blissett up front. And even when the year after they went, which was the cup final, we had George Riley and Mo Johnson, kind of carbon copies of the same sort of thing, where we would play it up and Barnes and Callaghan on the wings would push up. We didn't stay 4-4-2 for long. We were 4-2-4 for a long period of time. Is it capable of doing it now? Maybe. Have we got the squad to be able to do it? Can we play two forwards? No, because we haven't got two forwards. We had one on Saturday and we didn't use him. That's the real question. So yeah. No, 4-4-2. I doubt it. They got into the discussion and Wendover's point was it'll come back. But if you look at the history of tactics, and yes, I am that dull. Yes, I do have that much of an anorak. But tactics started, the first kind of reasonable formation was a 2-3-5. So 2 at the back, 3 playing in the midfield and 5 up front. But this was in the days
in them games.
This was in the days when literally passing was frowned upon as being against the Corinthian spirit. It certainly was.
That's what I was checking.
But if you look at all of the way things have gone, every tactical adjustment has moved people from the forward line back to create space to then move into. And you've seen the ultimate version of that with a false 9. We saw it at Barcelona when Messi was playing there on occasions. I wouldn't say we saw the best of it at Oxford the other day. So, yeah, no, not sure.
There has been a delivery. There's been a delivery.
There's been what have you had delivered?
Oh, look at this. He's got his own beer delivery there,
What excellent news that was.
That is excellent news. So let's do one more question. One from Simon Watford FC, who says, why is Vatter not playing more? And that also chimes with El Mavers, who says, do you think Tom Cleverley and Rocco Vatter have had a falling out? No logical reason for Rocco not starting a game since January 25th. That would have been Coventry away, would it? I think. Yeah, it would have been.
When we were there. Yeah.
It would, yeah. He's a defensive coach. He is a defensive coach and scared of RV and Shaq not doing donkey work, ? He's been had a virus, has he not?
Yeah, he's not been well, has he? And I think there's probably 2 reasons behind it. I don't think it's the fact that he doesn't want to play him. I think that there's a little bit of overplaying him, bearing in mind the football that he's played previously before joining us. And also, he's one of those players, I'm not sure yet, and the people may agree or disagree, what his best position is. Because, we were talking about the Oxford game just now, we're talking about strikers and so forth. Mm-hmm. Vatter's surely got to be a better option than
Kayembe.
Kayembe, surely. I know he's not what you would call a striker, but surely he's got to be a better option. And do you play him on the wing? Is he better out there? I don't know. It's all a bit fun. I personally, I think Tom is still trying to find out what his best position is to start in and week out. And I think he sees him more this season as a bit of a super sub to change the game. However, obviously, as I've already said during the Oxford game, I think he balls that up quite severely and didn't get it right. Even after the sending off, when the sending off happened, I thought he could have come on before. So yeah, I don't think there's any malice in his decision making over Vata.
He's still young. He is still young, isn't he?
Very young. Very young. Yeah.
So to play week in, week out at his age would be a bit of an ask anyway, I would imagine. And is he the same sort of player as Czech for Dedsy? Could you play them together? You could play them together.
Again, where do you play Georgie? Is Georgie best where he is currently, or is he best on the wing? I don't know. I love Georgie, what he does, but we've said time and time again, his end product is not there. I thought he got doubled up in the Oxford game. He had two men on him constantly, really tried to flatten him out, didn't really give him much options. So it's a difficult one, isn't it? But again, this is part of Tom's learning curve, I think, this season, and we'll see what happens. But I personally don't think there's any malice in Tom's decision making over him.
Okay. I mean, what do you think, Peter? Could they play together? Do you think there's a reason that he's not playing?
I think if you look at when we brought Rocco in, he didn't play a huge amount of minutes early on because he'd had some illness at Celtic. Now, I said about on Saturday, I don't know whether or not this is a relapse or a reoccurrence of the same thing, but the lad apparently lost 7 kilograms, which is 14 pounds. That's a lot to shift with a virus.
A stone, is it not? That's a stone.
It's a lot. Yeah.
It sounds like the kind of thing gastroenteritis might give you, where your arse and your mouth become an ornamental fountainhead. It's coming out of both ends and you practically implode. But if you look at the start of the season, right, he was on the bench for the first 4 games. He came on for 10 minutes against Coventry. He played 68 minutes at Norwich because we'd all got excited, but didn't really do anything, came off a bit. He didn't play against Sunderland. He played 7 minutes against Preston. He didn't play against Middlesbrough. He played 8 minutes against Luton. He played 3 minutes against Leeds. He played 24 minutes against Blackburn. That's in the first 12 games because he's eased him in to try to get him kind of fit because he still wasn't there. He started to kind of get proper kind of game time really in and around kind of Sheffield United. He started making second half appearances. He got 74 minutes against West Brom in December. But then he was up to his last 5 games for us were Sheffield United 90 minutes, Cardiff 30 minutes, Derby 90 minutes, Preston 90 minutes, Coventry 79 minutes. Then he was out of the team for 2 or 3 weeks. Now he's had 31, 25, 14, 19, 6 and 6. It could be, as was stated there, that it's kind of it could be a falling out. It could be I'm just not fancying you in this position or what have you. And Clevs has said some strange things like, "Oh well, there's good players playing well in his position." No, I don't particularly see them.
Name them.
Write those down for us, please.
But I think what it probably is the guy is recovering because he's had a right whack to the system. He took a long time to come back from it previously, and I suspect that's what it is. I don't think that. I doubt that he's had a Barney or an argument with him because everybody else is with him. Kind of when we had the Luton game, etc., and all of that sort of stuff. Everyone is there. If a manager tends to lose a particular player, they don't tend to have the dressing room still as they've sort of had at that point. I don't believe so. Right, let's get to another one. And then
we will come to some more questions. I can see Uncle Ron desperately trying to get us to ask his question. We will come on to that in a bit. Let's move on from questions.
Don't you worry, Ron. We'll ask your question. Don't you worry. I can't see the question, so
yeah, we'll get to that. Right, so round 2. Now, anybody who has watched Richard Osman's House of Games, which this is not even loosely, will be familiar with a thing called answer smash. Now, answer smash means I'm going to give you two different clues. One will be pictorial, and the other will be text.
Is this all you, Justin?
This is me. Yeah.
This is you. Now, I will give you an example of this.
Do we have to shout out again?
Yes, we do. Have you got a buzzer? Have you got a buzzer? No.
I haven't got a buzzer.
But Justin, don't shout out and then give your answer. Shout out first, then we come to you.
Okay.
Give an answer.
You were so bloody quick on that last round. I had to.
That's not my fault, is it?
Okay. All right.
That was my area of expertise. I told you.
You see what you bring us down to, Peter? Is
Being quick.
Basically.
Right. Let's give you an example. This isn't one, but here, for example, in Answer Smash would be, here is the example. A German priest, the seminal figure of the Protestant Reformation, and a certain player. Now,
Martin Luther.
But this is Answer Smash. You have to have this.
Martin Luther Blissett. I'll get the idea now.
You have got that
Martin
in one.
Luther.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's Martin Luther Blissett. So that would be the answer. Are you ready? Now, these are going to be Watford player related on one of them, maybe not on another. This is the kind of shit we get up to when the international break isn't on, or it is on. So, FIFA, look at what you're doing. Right, here we go. Number one.
Shit. Who's that? Oh. Centre back sign from Genk.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's going to be.
While you're doing that, Ron's just said, while you're thinking about that, and I agree with this is a good point. If he's fit enough to play international football for Ireland, he's fit enough to play at least a half against Oxford. Sounds reasonable. I thought it was odd that he hadn't brought him on, but he does have that tendency to not go for it in games. He is a cautionary manager, definitely. Have we got any answers here?
I can't think of any Belgian centre backs with the first name Mac. So it's going to be Lee Mac something, isn't it? And I can't think.
No. Because think of the order that it's in.
Oh, right. So it's going to be something Lee. Gotcha. Something Lee Mac. Centre back with the first name, surname.
Looking for an answer from the crowd. We haven't had anything on yet on here. Let me go. Okay, I'm going to give it to you. Are you ready?
Go on.
Christian
Mac. It's annoying.
Mac.
And that's it. That's specifically for Uncle Ron, obviously in Florida. There,
I know that's why you did that. Someone's just put it in here. Who's this? Someone called B. There you go.
Well done.
That's going to the audience. Cabaselli Mac. Yeah, I'll go with that. That's good. That's not a bad one. Second one. Are we ready?
Yeah.
American singer-songwriter whose first album, When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go, topped the US and UK charts in 2019. And of course, that Watford player. What's the answer, Smash?
Where do we go? Oh, this is tough, this one. I preferred the last one.
Yeah, I did too.
You did so well with that one. You see, you don't like the away game so much, do you?
No, Justin's my musical...
Yeah, but hang on. Yeah, but my music knowledge finished in 93. 2019? 2019.
Singer-songwriter.
People who are watching, help out, please. Put the answers in the comments.
American singer-songwriter whose first album, When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go? Top the US UK charts 2019.
Right, who's the player?
Well, Saar.
Right. What's his full name?
Ismaila
Saar.
I've now got to think of a singer-songwriter.
Ismaila.
That ends with Ish.
Oh, Ish. Oh, Billie Eilish. Billie Eilish. Yeah. There we go.
Billie Eilish,
Billie Eilish, Saar. Peter.
Yeah, I reiterate again once more. This is a humanitarian requirement.
Pickled me with this one.
This is
Here we go.
Oh,
now it's the player first and the question second. That works your order.
By a double paddle.
Small watercraft typically powered by a double-bladed paddle. That's the definition.
Stefano
Kayaka.
Oh.
Okay. Kayak.
I'll give you it. Stefano Okakayak. There you go. This is the intro. And the last one now. The last one in this round, because I knew this was going to take you forever. Are you ready? This is some of the shit that I do between important things, honestly. Are you ready?
Yeah.
There's a film-related one here. Arnold Schwarzenegger stars in the film sequel, confirming his promises in the original
Terminator.
film To Be Back. I need the full thing.
Terminator.
You've got to give me the answer, Smash. Player first.
Gary Poor Terminator 2. Or Gary
Full
Poor
name.
Terminator.
Gary Porter Terminator. Gary Porter-ator. Gary Porternator.
I think it's Gary Poor Terminator.
Gary Poor Terminator.
It's Gary Poor
Oh,
Terminator.
Judgment Day. Okay.
Two Judgment
Here we
Day.
go.
Judgment Day,
Yeah.
confirming his promise in the original film to be back. You see, you got to
see.
get all of this right. You can't just come out with all of that.
There you go.
Honestly,
Players
honestly.
need to have a haircut like that today. I agree. I absolutely
Yes.
agree.
Right.
Kurtz
Okay.
with
There
a-
we go. You didn't.
Kurtz with a comb over.
Not faring so well. I declare the winner of that to be B with
Yeah, well done,
Kevin.
Big.
It's well done, B.
The rest of you are crap. What can I
I
say?
was, yeah, that
Well done,
blew
B.
my mind. That one, that blew my mind.
Never
Right.
mind.
Would
Let's
you
get
like
to the
a question?
questions. What did Ron ask? Because Ron's upset that we haven't. He said that we'd ignored it, but I
Hang on,
mean,
he's
we're still
put
here. We haven't actually
so many-
ignored anything yet.
So
My
many
question,
questions in.
please.
Shall I do it in his voice? No.
Yeah, please.
I can't. My question, please, is that TC's handling and understanding of strikers is grim and bodes badly for next season. He bombed out Rivich, replaced with Jebison, and then goes with Dumbia and Bio. I think he's just restricted with budget, personally. I think he's playing with what he's being given. I don't think it's him picking the players to come into the squad. I think they're going, here. I think Jebison was his. I think that I would agree with Jebison. I think Jebison was his, and I think he's probably put his hands up and said that was a really not what we were hoping for. But I think it's like, there's your strikers, off you go. It was his decision to loan out Rivich, though, was it not? It was, wasn't it?
Yeah,
He was involved. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I still think that's probably the right decision. You can't look at, but down the line someone might get injured or whatever. So I don't think it's all in his hands necessarily. I think it's a lot of his hands.
Yeah, I think we've already covered it. I think he got it massively wrong on against Oxford. I think he completely cocked that one up. I think that's a fair comment. Dumbia, I think, is one for the future. Don't think he's a bad player. He's got a lot to learn about the Championship, but I think there is a player there. Bayo, look, we know about him already, but would he be better? Would Rivich be better than Bayo? Who knows? I mean, he scored goals. I grant you, but the Jebson one is a difficult one because as soon as he goes back to Bournemouth, he scores a couple of goals. So there's a player there. For whatever reason, it didn't work out, and I think that is sometimes the loan program. It doesn't work out. There's been players over the years that we could all probably pick that we've loaned in that just haven't worked. The striking options at Watford are frightening, and I'd agree with that, Ron. There has to be massive change for next season, but will it be Tom? We don't know. We don't know what this club's like. We do know what this club's like. It could change very quickly. So going forward, and we were talking about playoffs and things like that. You're never going to win playoffs with the goals that we're producing or the lack of, and we never look like getting back into that Oxford game at the weekend. So yeah, it is a problem. It's something that needs addressing. But as Justin said, I don't think that's all on Tom. I think that's again comes from upstairs. Here's some players, and off you go. Best of luck.
Before we come to your answer, Peter, are we all agreed that we hope the Bio experiment now ends and we don't see him again after the end of this season? Because I don't ever want to see him play for Watford again. I'm bored.
I mean, I might get him working behind the bar in the Red Lion.
You'd be useless, mate. He'd be too far away. He wouldn't be doing his job. He'd just standing there pointing at stuff like that, and he'd be dropping all the glasses.
That's why they're plastic most days. It's fine.
That could be it. Yeah. Sorry, Peter.
No. I do. I think you have to look at Bio, and obviously the last two short instances are. I think it's reasonable to say the birth of his child affected, but those included, he's played 102 games and he's scored in 16 of them, which means the flip is he hasn't scored in 86 of those games. He's made 6 assists in all of that time, which, bearing in mind he's in the advanced position, it isn't good enough, but it's what he is. He went on a lively scoring spree and everybody got a bit excited, But the outliers in that were the Sheffield Wednesday game and obviously the Derby game where he got a couple as well, the home one. I think he got a couple in there. So there are too many games where he is not making a particularly valuable contribution. The description that Cleves gives him of how hard he works for everybody and how he shuts down and how he's sorry, I just don't see it. I don't see somebody who's shutting down particularly quickly. And I think the moment we lost Doumbia against Millwall, you again reiterated what that young man had given to us, which was really worthwhile and something that was good. And I think he's excellent. I'd asked Cleves earlier on in the season on the kind of fans chat stuff about kind of what his requirements were for a forward, bearing in mind they're going to be playing as a solitary striker up front. And let me say before I say anything, I think Jebison let him down awfully. Not just in terms of his play, but in terms of his aptitude. I was told that he turned up 45 minutes late the day after the 3-0 away loss at Luton. And that he was claiming that he'd overslept because of his exertions the day before, which had kicked off at midday, and he'd played about 37 minutes. So, you can imagine he can't get his sleep. Anyway, so enough of that. I don't think he tried to back him constantly. And I think he was, that was not reciprocated by the young man. And I think he let himself down there a great deal. With the justification for Rivich going off was, as he said, was what he wanted from a forward was frontline speed. Because in order to stretch the play, he wanted them to be able to shut down, and he wanted a good finisher. And he felt that 2 of the 3 weren't what Rivich does, and therefore he didn't kind of fit into his game. I think the issue it really is, and fundamentally it all comes down to recruitment, which is if you give him the quality of player, and it shouldn't be beyond the wit to have a striker who's got, okay, maybe a bit of pace, he doesn't have to be the fastest, who can shut down and who can actually take a strike, that shouldn't be beyond possibility. It really, really shouldn't, even if we have to go digging in the non-leagues. I appreciate, for example, the likes of Macaulay Langstaff at Millwall has not worked there, but he was a player who was who might have given us something. It hasn't particularly worked. They've not particularly enjoyed him, but they don't create many chances at Millwall. So there are other players, there are other options, most certainly. I think the fact what we've seen with Doumbia is a player who has taken a year to come in and learn the game with his back to goal. He's been playing in the under-21s a lot, and he's got his opportunity and his chance. And Tom did say, look, this guy's got something. Now, when we spoke to him and we spoke to Scott Duxbury, he turned around and said, well, I don't want to have more players who aren't going to be involved and they kind of stink up the place and get a bit. I don't believe that answer, and I said it at the time because you had 3 forwards for the one position from August through till January. You don't suddenly go, now what we've really got is a glut of strikers that we can't entertain. Really, really can't. And Andrew French put it to him during the transfer window. Well, if one of those gets crocked, we're going to look pretty blooming kind of choiceless, aren't we? And he went, yeah, but we know what happened through January, and it was not a straightforward linear process. It was a heck of a roller coaster seemingly for people involved. And I think the recruitment at that point was not really geared up to assist him. And anybody who points out the fact that the young lad from Fulham, who was in the building and we were trying to bring in, would have been a replacement. No, he wouldn't have been. He was a winger option. He was another one of the kind of 4-2-3, one of those kind of bars, Vatters, etc. in that era. So yeah, no, I don't think he's done a great job with it. I think his preferences, and he talks, and excuse me for giving far too thorough a response, but I think it's important to kind of say it in a way. Tom talks about having control in games, and he talked about the Oxford game about having control and controlling the midfield. But on previous press conference, post and pre-match press conferences, he's talked about needing to turn that control into attacking positions, and that's where we are we are breaking down at the moment, and that's something that really does need addressing, both as a collective, but also absolutely as the right individual to bring in. I imagine that Bio probably will go to Udinese, but all things rest on what will happen with any potential sale.
Would you like a light-hearted one quickly? This is coming from Peter Hopwood. Imagine for a home match at the Vic, Harry the Hornet was actually a former Watford FC player, revealed at half-time. Who would it be?
His Scooby-Doo moment. I like this.
Scooby-Doo moment. Now, I know I don't know the person inside Harry the Hornet costume well, but I know him enough to say hello to him. And every time he says hello to me, I think, now, oh, yes, of course, you're Harry the Hornet. I'm not used to seeing you without the costume on. With those dance moves, it's got to be someone quite limber, right? It's got to be someone quite, groovy, someone that can bang a drum and keep time.
It's Nordan Wooter.
Nordim, I like that. Nordim Wooter. I don't think I could improve on Nordim Wooter.
Right height as well.
I don't think I can improve on Nordim Wooter. I think it's got to be Nordim, right?
Nordin, Ronnie Rosenthal, maybe.
Actually, no, it's John Joe O'Toole is who it is. It's John Joe O'Toole in there. That's who it is. Yeah.
No, John Joe O'Toole is still playing. It must be somebody who, I think it would be revealed half time that it's somebody who hasn't played much for us. It would be Stephen Tallboys from the 1990s. I think.
Good Lord. There's a name.
That's a very
niche one for you listeners.
Yeah.
Very, very pleasing.
Now, I saw was it Gerard Lavin? He's is he an estate agent now or something, or a mortgage advisor? So I don't know how I picked up on this. I was on social media the other day. Gerard Lavin is a mortgage advisor. Wow, okay. Funny old thing. Tall boys. What a blast from the past, says Uncle Ron. Tall boys.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, it's got to be somebody with that sort of, the one that everybody will go, yeah, and everyone else will go, who?
Who's this?
That's what you want. And finally getting onto the pitch, Callum Davenport, and he comes running on Harry Hornet, breaks his leg after 45 minutes, that kind of thing.
Callum Davenport was the guy who broke his neck in his debut, wasn't he? Going for a header or something? Is that right?
Yes. Yep. He lasted literally 45 minutes, so he could get another run out as Harry the Hornet. I mean,
welcome to the club, Callum. Oh look,
we've probably got a winner there, haven't we? We've probably got a winner there.
I suspect so. I mean, but that could just be me, being daft. Never mind. Right, let's get to another one of these, shall we? Let's go to that and share this. Crikey, there's so much going on. We have a different game now. The whole idea of this kind of, right, let's go and steal the idea from a game show came from before I joined in with somebody suggested Roger Willis. Now that would be tremendous.
Who's Roger
Willis?
Roger Willis. Uncle Ron has also pulled out a blinder here. Colin Simpson. Colin Simpson. Because he was odd. I mean, if anybody doesn't remember Colin Simpson, he would have been voted footballer most likely to look like a chartered accountant. He really didn't look like he had any business being there at all. That's a very good shout. Well done, Ron. Well done indeed. Now, we started doing this when I was doing YouWarn's TV, and these two idiots had started this thing up. And I said, oh, would you like to come on? And we did a thing called You Don't Get Cramp at This Club, which was basically as bad as this, if you can imagine such a thing. And I'm going to give you now a round that we played during those. And I'm going to give you guys
the same answers.
Some questions that you have been asked already. And find out whether you remember it.
Oh, shit.
I bet you won't. First of all, we're going to play Transfer Trails. So I'm going to go through this nice and quickly, because before it was all very difficult. So we're going to use Luther Blissett again as an example. His transfer trail would be Watford, AC Milan to Watford to Bournemouth to Watford to West Brom to Bury to Derry to Mansfield. And then what I do is explain, if nobody's got it by then, which of those were permanent and which of those were loans. And then we might go through and just find out how many appearances that player made for them. Okay. Now, obviously, we're going to go with anonymous first of all. So player one, are you ready, everybody? And I want to have but hold on. Before we do that, poor Rod Hull, he went on the roof to adjust the aerial for a Champions League game and he fell off the roof and died. I have no idea how we got to that, but
he did. Yeah, he took the bird with him as well. That was the worst bit.
Right, here we go. First player. So we're going to go through, and I'm going to reveal them quickly. His clubs in order, and you have to shout or you have to type it in. Here we go.
Okay. Carl,
Who are you saying?
Oh shit! No, I've got it wrong. It's the Everton one that's just thrown me there.
Right, you're out. You
Right.
can't. You've got to have it
Yeah.
ready. You've got to have it ready. I'm going to give Justin the rest of them.
Watford. Manchester United, Leicester City, Watford. We're going to have to let it go. Someone's
Yeah,
put Ashley Young. That can't be right.
I will say Milchman.
Someone's saying Tom Cleverley.
Milchman. It's Tom Cleverley.
Yeah, do you know what? I was going to say it, but then the Everton one threw me. But he did,
Watford
didn't he?
loan, Watford permanent, of course.
Yeah.
Well done, Mitch, man. I
Well done,
saw
Mitch,
your
man,
comment.
yeah.
I was going to steal it, but there you
I
go.
was going to do it then. But anyway.
I'll just say that the crowd are currently winning this, and I'm very, very pleased to see this. So the question is, how many appearances do you think he made for Man United? 55.
55, I'd say.
How many do you think he made for Leicester? I'm not going to press the button again this time.
Less, I'd say. Fewer. I'd say
I'm
fewer.
going to say 22.
I'll say 30. Oh, 15.
15, not bad. How many has he made in total for Watford? Obviously.
Oh,
no longer playing,
total. Well, you must have updated this because Cleverley would have still been playing for us when we last played this round, I would say.
Yes.
Gonna be-
We didn't play this round, these particular.
I see. Gotcha. 30 the first time round, then I'd say 120.
I'll
Carlos?
go 105.
Melanie's saying 80. No, it's not. It's 181.
Wow, I didn't
Bloody
realise
hell.
he'd made quite as many appearances as that.
Yeah, there you go. Wigan 25, Aston Villa 21, and of course he played for Everton. But you can see he played for us much more than any other. Who is player 2? Are we ready, everybody? Oh, yes, this excitement. You could almost cut it with a butter knife. Here we go. It's another Man United starter.
Oh my God.
Who is the
Cole.
Go on then, Cole.
Jesus. Cathcart.
I'm sorry, I have to take your first answer, and Jesus is not the correct answer.
Craig Cathcart.
It is indeed Craig Cathcart. Very good, very good. How many appearances, Justin, do you think he made for Manchester United?
Hardly any. I'd say 7.
No, you overestimate. Nil.
Oh.
31 for our golf. 262 for Watford. 112 for that. That's very pleasing indeed. Very good. Who that says knowledge, Carl. Well done. Excellent. Right. So we turn now to the picture board. Now, these idiots have been given these pictures before, and we'll find out whether or not they're stupid enough not to remember it. Here we go. Here is the picture.
Yes.
And I'm going to ask you some questions. And those guys who were old enough to remember this particular game and this particular shot, here's the first question. What year was the game?
Carl.
1983.
Carlos?
1983.
The answer is 1983. Yes,
Excellent.
indeed it was. It was indeed. Who is wearing the number 8 shirt?
Carl. That is. Oh no, it's not. Shit. No.
Can I just say you did? This is what tends to happen. I put up a thing. I ask a question, and you say, "Carl, oh, it's not shit." That's
this one I've definitely got wrong.
Is it the lad who scored? Ian. Oh, there you go.
Ian Richardson. Well done, sir.
I got that wrong.
Two goals. Scored 2 goals against it. Right. Okay. Next one. Who is number 4?
Justin Les Taylor.
Incorrect.
Oh.
I think I'm hearing somebody type in Florida. I imagine he's going for this.
I'm sure he will.
Number 4.
Who is it?
No, it's not Loman. Oh, look at this. Look at this. He's on fire. He's on fire. Richard Jobson, signed from Burton Albion.
Oh, sorry. I was looking at the number 4 here.
Oh, you were looking at the Kaiserslautern number 4.
Kaiserslautern number 4, because that was Man Slottover. Yeah.
That's full of shit. Right. Okay. Here we go. Who were the opponents?
Kaiserslautern.
I just want to see everybody try and spell Kaiserslautern correctly in the comments. That's good. Right. Okay. Here we go. Next one. Now we went through this.
Remember, this is the Cardiff game, isn't it? Yeah.
This is the Cardiff game. Everybody will remember watching this during the pandemic, and it was probably one of those games that I remember a very good goal was scored to equalise. However, this shot was taken, and everybody knew about it during the pandemic. This was really well known. The question is, who is player A? Oh, I have to say, Mitchman, well done for that's a real shout for Franklin, because Paul Franklin had very similar hair to Richard Jobson. I like that a lot. Who is player A?
Carl.
Carl,
think.
who is player A?
I don't know if he was still there then. I'm coming. Cabaselli?
Yeah, I would think it is
Justin,
Cabaselli.
who would you like to go for?
I can't improve on Cabaselli. I think that's local man is pleased.
It was
Oh
João
my God.
Pedro.
João Pedro.
Yeah, Pedro.
It
Okay.
was João Pedro. I'm sure other people got that. Who is player B?
Justin, Dan Gosling.
Carlos?
Oh, do you know what? I don't know if it is though. Yeah, I'm just going to go with Justin's one. Yeah, Gosling.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Slight homoerotic undertones. Who was a great right back. I think he was excellent, but so was Kiko Familia.
Oh, Familia.
God, we're rubbish.
Come on.
I know the next one. I know Carl.
Go
Sar.
So yeah, Billie Eilish's favourite friend. Absolutely. Who's D? Who is D?
Oh, that with the tattoos. That
Adam Messina.
Yeah. Thank you.
You keep saying thank you.
Oh, it's Troost.
It's Troost. Oh, the
Truce to
tattoos.
Kong, you are rubbish. The pair of you are absolute nonsense.
Peter.
You've had this before already. Who is E? Who is E?
Dan Gosling.
He's desperate to get Dan Gosling in there,
The
isn't
answer
he?
is Dan Gosling. Now, what's the question? Go on. Carlos, are you going with Dan Gosling again? You did it
No,
last time. It worked.
It's not Dan Gosling. He's too tall. I'll go Messina.
Oh, there's a shout. Could be Messina. Oh, yeah, Cisco.
Chilean.
Yeah.
Paul, never mind. Now, this is the real one. And I will tell you now that Carl got this 3 years ago.
He did get it. I remember him getting this.
Did I?
Yeah, you
And
did. I remember you said.
I will give major credit to anybody who gets this in the comments. Who is player F at the end there? Can anybody remember?
Ashraf Lazar.
It's a different year.
I definitely would have got that. Who is it? I got this. See, I've had a fractured skull since then. So
I know the face, but I can't think who it is. It was a player that didn't play for us very much.
Very true. He came on loan.
He did.
Midfielder, formerly of Aston Villa. Does anybody remember?
What was his name?
Oh, he was about 90. What was his bloody name? Pissing hell. Yeah.
I'm going to give you his face.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I can't remember his name.
You can't remember his name.
Yeah,
I remember it. Bakuna. No,
it wasn't Bakuna.
I'm just reading what Uncle Ron's putting in.
Sanchez. Well done,
Sanchez,
Uncle Ron. Well done, Uncle Ron. All you needed was the face and going, yeah, that's who it is. Andrew Argent, well done. Kalu, because as we all know, Kalu's alive. Right, next picture. Here we go. This is I have to say, for people of a certain generation.
Jesus Christ, I've got no hope here.
Hey, this is where the slightly homoerotic overtones kind of stop. Let's be honest when you come to this kind of picture. Yeah. Who is A?
Justin, John Ward.
Nicely done. Nicely done. Who is B? And there's only a partial shot of him.
It's Justin. It's the guy that Sam, what's his name, that he bought with a face like a margarita pizza. That's how Ian Bolton described him. Sam with a surname that I've forgotten. Taylor's first signing.
He was indeed. He signed at 8 o'clock, and Ian Bolton.
Sam Ellis. Thank you, Mitchman. Sam Ellis.
Yeah. I wonder why you got that, Milshman.
Yeah.
Well done.
Sam
well
Ellis.
Done. We are going to go now to the proper ones. Who is C?
Yeah, no, I don't think I'm going to get C. If I'm being honest, I think I might have to wait for comments to come in from the viewers on C. Is it? It's not the guy that Elton John bought the club off, is it?
Jim Bonser.
Jim Bonser, yeah. No, I don't know.
Elton John turned up.
30 me, says Uncle Ron, when I think he might be right.
No, this man is right. It's Pat Malloy. who was
Malloy.
an absolute legend with us from basically through the 50s, 60s, 70s, and into Graham Taylor's time. Absolute legend. Well done there, Milch. Milch has been excellent. One well-known
that was
person.
Tom Wally in the middle that you didn't mention.
Yeah, Tom Wally.
Yeah, I know. That's why I
That was
didn't
the only
ask.
one I knew, I think, apart from Graham Taylor.
Now, often seen on Graham Taylor's bench throughout his time, but not in that previous picture. Here is a picture of him as a young man, and I'm surprised Carlos hasn't already identified that he's playing for Peterborough because of the ground.
Yes.
Who would it be? Who might it have been who is no longer in that picture or wasn't there in that picture, but is there? Does anybody know who this gentleman may have been? Thank you, Milchman. Milchman's given us clues. He is indeed an old geezer.
Yeah.
He's no longer with us.
I don't recognise the face, I've got to say.
I'll let you know who it is. Our physiotherapist under Graham Taylor was a certain Billy Hales. When Graham went off to Aston Villa, and Elton John and Billy Hales were the guys who took the team to the Cup of China before Bassett was in place and appointed. And it was the famous time where Elton wanted to join in. Tim Sherwood went and 2-footed him, on Billy Hales's watch. Well, there we go. Last one on the picture ones. Here we are celebrating promotion to the top tier for the very first time.
Yeah.
Who is A? Looking forward to this. Looking forward to this.
That has to be one for the crowd because I don't know who A is there. I can't. No, there's too many faces in there that I don't recognise.
Let's see if we have an answer from the crowd. There we go. Wow, what a great fact. Who was that? Did I give a good fact? No, I doubt it. Oh, Milton is absolutely on fire. Love it. Keith Pritchett, absolutely. Now I think living in and resided for quite a while in New Zealand, I believe. Who is B?
Yeah. This is all a bit before my time. I know a lot of the faces in here, but not that one.
Yeah, there's about, hang on, 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 I got in that.
Yeah.
And that guy is not one of them.
No, he's not one of them for me either, no. Any ideas?
Ron is casting aspersions about my age. I'm not having any of that.
Jan Lohman.
Look at this. It's amazing. It's amazing how Justin gets the answer. Just as Milton comes in with everything. I like this.
You said Lohman. I said Jan Lohman. So
it was Jan Lohman. We went up in that particular the week where we went up on that that particular game. The following Tuesday, we played the team who we signed him from Belgium. Yes, that's right. A signing from Belgium that was actually successful.
Was Bogey involved?
Was doing it, was he?
Yeah, possibly. But yeah, Jan Lohman. Oh, I see. No, Ron's not having a go at me. He's having a go at Milchman. Milchman, well done, sir. I'm very proud of you. Well done.
What is that man holding in the corner there before we carry on? Bottom right? He's holding there in front of
Luther's chest. Yeah, what is he holding to Luther's chest? I do wonder. Now that you pointed that out.
I would suggest that is a boot brush.
You call it a boot brush?
At any point, I have no idea. Who is C? Only partially seen. Now, before Milchman gets it, can you get something? It's Luther's Luther. Well, yeah. He doesn't look. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Shirley, absolutely. Steve Sherwood.
Oh, Steve Sherwood. Okay.
Steve Sherwood.
Oh, is that Steve Sherwood? Is it?
That was Steve Sherwood. And final one. Who is that?
Eric Steele.
Justin. I'm stunned.
Got one.
I'm stunned that you've got one. What can I say?
Eric Steele. So I'm thinking you got. Sorry, just go back on that. You had Pat Rice. You've closed it now, haven't you? Pat Rice, Les Taylor, John Barnes, Kenny Jackett. I saw in there. Who else did I see in there? Les Taylor. I said Les Taylor. It's like the generation game, isn't it, with the conveyor belt? So there was some on there I recognise, but the ones that you were pointing out,
I will add it, and we will go through everybody because I think you're quite right. It's something that we should do. It's good stuff. Share. There we go. Can we see that? Yes. So on the left is former Arsenal captain, but at that point Watford captain Pat Rice. Right to his right, curly haired there with the scarf, is Les Taylor. And using Les Taylor's hair as an elaborate Mexican moustache is Steve Terry.
Is that Steve Terry? Didn't recognise him without the white bit on his forehead. Okay, that's Steve Terry. Yeah.
Yes, he would have. Steve Terry always had a bit of tape there because he didn't want to look like Steve Foster, who was a bit of a twat playing at Luton with a headband. Next to him, there in the middle, is Kenny Jackett, of course. Above Steve Terry, there at the kind of back left row, is Jerry Armstrong with the champagne. Not something he was averse to having. Let me think. When did we go up? When I made one? So later on in that summer. He scored the winner at the 1982 World Cup against the host Spain for Northern Ireland, and it absolutely catapulted him up to kind of stardom. And he ended up moving out to Mallorca pretty much as a result of that goal the following season. Once he scored the first goal in the top flight. Next to him is Keith Pritchett, Keith Lohman we mentioned, Jan Lohman there at the back we mentioned, Steve Sherwood. And next to him, with his fine moustache from the 80s, there is Steve Sims, whilst being a sort of a body double for Magnum, I imagine.
He was quite hard there. And Ross at the bottom, looking a bit worried why John Barnes has got him in a headlock, by the looks of things.
I think he looks reasonably pleased to have
relaxed,
come and worked all his way back up to the top flight.
Skull lager as well.
Hey, skull lager. Those were the
Yeah.
days.
Yeah, John Barnes, a certain Mr. Luther Blissett, and of course Eric Steele, who came in and kind of was some competition for Steve Sherwood, but never quite won it out in the end. And in the end, it was Tony Coton that saw him removed and gone elsewhere. There you go. Well done. Well done indeed.
Marvellous.
Oh,
yes. Well, I hadn't remembered.
Uncle Ron said, have to go. Really enjoyed that. Ron, take that back immediately. You're going to lose your reputation if you say things like, I really enjoed that. Anyway, excellent
Good
stuff.
night, Ron.
Have we got any more questions?
We have, yes. Let's see what we've got now. We've got, I don't want to do that because we've sort of been. Oh, yeah, the size of the purple third replica shirt. It seems to be smaller than the home and away shirts in length by about a size. Has anyone else had this problem? Carl, have you got the purple kit?
I haven't, but I've also been told that Watford will not use it again this season. There you are.
Oh, okay. But have we used it once?
Used it once, yeah.
Oh,
It has been used fairly extensively and successfully by the women's team. I know that's a small thing for some, but it's a good thing.
Did we? I think we wore it against Sheffield United away, where we lost.
Oh, yeah, that was a 1-0, wasn't it, to them? Here's one from Cole Campion. With the passing of Dennis Bond, from this point in time, do you think we will see a Watford player reach 300 appearances for the club? Although the club will announce Bio has in May. That's a little joke there. Will we see a Watford player reach 300 appearances? I don't know. I don't think
hard nowadays, isn't it?
Yeah, there's not really that many one man or one club men.
And yeah, football, as we said, like when we're talking about formations, the game's changed a lot. So, and Watford is dipping into a situation where, well, not dipping in, it's been that way, but going back to a situation where we're a club that's going to develop players and sell them on for a profit. So the chances of actually getting a player that's, served us 300 games is going to be rare. It is, what was Ken Semmer on when he left? How many games?
I don't think it was as many as you think. I think
exactly. But it was, the reception he kind of got from the club and, for his services and stuff like that was not over the top, but it's not 300 games, is it?
No, it did feel a bit forced, that, I thought, the whole Ken Semmer loving thing. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Nice enough guy. I like that. Do you?
Yeah. No, I do. I do like that because there's if a player these days, it's a great question because it does absolutely acknowledge the fact that loyalty from players just doesn't happen anymore. We just see
loyalty. No, you're just not good enough to play anywhere else. That's the thing. And I also, sorry, Pete, just to cut. I know, but
that's not true, and it's not fair. He's not one game, and neither have we in the time.
No, but that's what I'm saying. If he's one of these players that you think, oh, of course he was instrumental in us winning this or getting us through to this or winning he's part of the FA Cup winning team. You go, oh, go on, Ken. But he's not. He's just someone that played for us for perhaps a bit longer than he should have done. I just think that it was all a bit over the top, the send-off. But anyway, I cut across you there, so I'll now turn my mic off. See?
I'll now go away.
See what you done there?
I think let's have a look. He played 176 games for Watford. He scored 13 and got 21 assists, which is a reasonable level of goal contribution in terms of that. Yeah, you can go like that, but he didn't cost us a fortune. He had done quite well. He played for Östersunds in the Champions League. He'd done well in that. He's now playing for Paphos. Okay, not the greatest kind of the Cypriot League. Sorry, it's just not the greatest in the world. But they're playing in Europe, and they were successful in that the other week. So no, I think it's reasonable to have somebody come out and say hello. We had or cheerio. We had the same thing with Sebastian Prodl a few years back, where he just asked if he could just come and say goodbye before he literally went off and caught a flight. I like that. I think that let's get back to the question, which is
Sema came back. Sema came back from Cyprus for that, and then went back to Cyprus again. Did you know that? He came back from Cyprus for that, and then went back again. Yeah.
The other question is, guess how many players in all of Watford's history have played 300 or more games for Watford?
Not many. I wouldn't have thought many. Probably loads in the 70s and 80s, because they signed for 5 years and stayed for 5 years. But I wouldn't have thought there's very many in the 300 plus club.
Well, there's.
Have you got a sheet with it on? I'd be interested to see it.
Of course I have. I've always got a sheet with everything on. Hang on, let me share it with you. Crikey. Where am I looking at? Would help, of course, if I stopped sharing that. There we go. Sorry, otherwise I was going to bring you pictures of Billy Hales. That wouldn't have been useful, would it? Here we go. So this is something that something else I'm kind of going to be doing. Let me make it full screen for everybody so you can see it. So these are everybody who is 200 plus, effectively, what I call the 200 club. So you've got a fair few who've made it into 200s, etc. But this in red is 300. In black is the 400 plus, and there's literally the 500 plus club is Luther Blissett. It's very exclusive, but very lonely for him. Hold on, let me just do that, because that way you can at least see all of the times he was with us. There are 24 players in the whole history of the club who have played more than 300 games. It means that if they don't start with us, they have to have been with us from a very early age. Now, if you look at this list, starting with Bobby Bell, I don't know about Bobby Bell. I'd need to find out. But
we used to work with Bobby Bell. Long time. That's another story for another day. Let me tell you.
Well, no, it's a useful one, because Bobby Bell's Scottish, wasn't he? He started up. He was in Scottish. He didn't start with us. But Dennis Bond was a youth team player. David Holdsworth was a youth team player. Tommy Smith was a youth team player. Taffy Davis wasn't, but do you know what Taffy Davis did, Carlos?
He farmed sheep.
Farmer.
He ran the Red Lion for 26 years.
Oh, he did. I knew that as well. I knew that.
And I'm not sure about. I don't think he was there. But look at the number. Skilly Williams. Now, if you don't know Skilly Williams, go and don't hang your head in shame. But Skilly Williams and Jack Greaves, who is currently with us but on loan up at Ross County at the moment, are related. It's his great grandfather, I believe. And you also had Danny Greaves, and also a player who escapes me for a moment there. Stuart Scullion came in. Ross Jenkins was signed early. Will Frostron stayed a long time. Johnny Williams, who unfortunately passed a couple of years ago, was there. Troy Deeney waited for a long time. However, then you come down to people like Kenny Jackett, Lloyd Doyley, Gary Porter, Nigel Gibbs, Luther Blissett. All of those players started as youth team players and stayed for the majority of their careers, and that's really the main benefit of getting a proper successful youth team. Would players like John Barnes, who we saw earlier on, would he have stayed for 6 years at Watford at his level? No, chances are he wouldn't have even made an appearance. On Sunday at Leicester, Harry Amas from our own academy made his Premier League debut for Manchester United. That's the nature of it now. So it is difficult. It is different. However, if you're going to have those players who turn into those club legends, get into that top 24 appearance makers, because that's effectively what it is. If you're at 300 plus, that's more or less where they've got to kind of start and stay. The last one on there who's really kind of is probably Lloyd Doyley, which is why, you'll forgive somebody like Lloyd for lacking certain technical capabilities because of his effort and because he's been with us for so long.
Well, there you go. So I we're saying it's unlikely, right? Because it just is unlikely that we're going to see a player that. I mean, you look at Clev's 180. You said he played 186 games or something,
181.
and you felt like he'd been around for quite a long time. So it's quite an achievement to get 300, isn't it? Or even 200, really.
Think how long Cathcart was with us, and he hasn't quite got to that, but he's got mid 200s. That's why I'm going to do something around the guys in that 200 club, because I think it's good to know the people who have worn the shirt for an awful long time, and of course, a lot of those players in that 200 list also were at the academy. Sorry, we went off kilter there.
Oh no, that's all right. That's okay. No, that's all very good. Let's have a look at this one quickly. Improvements we'd like to see at the club, and then there's a number of sort of areas. We don't have to go into all the areas, but we've got infrastructure, match day experience, communication, recruitment, and squad. Try to focus on improvements and suggestions rather than what is wrong. Well, yeah,
I saw this one and I thought it was a great question. Really kind of thought through, structured, and broke down. So here's my first thoughts then, as here's one I prepared earlier. Infrastructure, I'd relocate what we call the 1881, but the singing section. I mean, it's been mentioned in the fan engagement policy to put in a review of that to get people's thoughts about it. We've discussed it on here about maybe switching the family end with the singing end, because that way you get all of the families, because anybody who's not wanting to go up in the singing section, chances are they're going to be of a family nature or a family age, and then you've got them in where the facilities are most family friendly. It kind of makes sense to me. But then what you've got is the singing section next to the away section. Anybody who remembers the 90s, and we didn't have millions and millions of people in the ground, but you had for long periods while the Rookery was being built, you had the away fans in the lower GT, and you'd be able to kind of basically play off of each other.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that's how it starts. Anybody who's been to Huddersfield away knows how loud the guys are next to you, but how loud you are as an away end. So you almost want to build an away end at home, potentially. That's something I'd do. I mentioned earlier on, in terms of infrastructure, we have to accept that the ground that we have got is a fantastic ground for it being traditional and where it is. It has got restrictions and restraints about non-match day revenue creation and parking, all of these difficulties. But let's be honest, it's spiritual home, and yet it does look fantastic for what it is. So for me, infrastructure, I'm looking at, I would like to make the academy level 1, so that we don't have Harry Amas popping up for Manchester United without us being properly there, and we do look long-term and invest. Yes, all of this needs money, and that would all need to be part of a new purchase, and it would need to be part of a long-term strategy for whoever is potentially, if somebody does come in. Automatic beer machines.
I was going to say, Carlos, you'd like to see some more Budweiser in the Rookery end on busy matches, yeah?
Happening. I had a conversation with somebody that works at the club, and the digital machines that we currently have in the Rookery are going and being replaced. We're going back to an old till system, and there will be the automatic beer systems going in.
There you go. A win for the disco piss drinkers.
Yes, us disco piss drinkers are on a win. Just on that, there are a lot of areas in the hospitality side of it for your regular match day fan that need improvement. It's poor, but that they are working towards it. There's a new bar that's now opened in the Rookery, just below the Luther Blissett mural.
Cool.
As you go through there, so that's good. That helps. But yeah, it's that's all changing. So I look forward to that next season.
Well, his next one was match day experience, and you absolutely hit that there. The other thing, I still think the stewarding search criteria needs to be brought about again. This is still an agency. We still have anybody who is going in. It is still going through so many people. It's like coming up against, I don't know, an American football team defense on every side, and I'm not sure that with the money we have that's really warranted, especially for example on a Tuesday night when we must be looking at 11,000 if we're lucky. So I would like to see that done. I also mentioned the auto beer machines and the food. We've got to what the club needs to do is do something to incentivize people to come into the ground to utilize their hospitality before, after, and during the game. So you need to make sure that that 15-minute window is really well equipped, and automatic beer machines should do that, or should at least kind of optimize it. So there's some stuff there. One of the other areas you mentioned was around communication, and I put transparency and timely. And it's nothing necessarily to do with the actual communication department. But Gino buying the club, we found out 4 months later. Tikvich, we found out was permanent 6 months later. We've just found out about Tom's contract from April 2024 being full and whoever is in charge realised that I think the fans only want the best for the club, and transparency and honesty in terms of where we are. Everybody can live with that. We don't have a pot to piss in. Okay, tell us. We get it. We understand. We'll at least temper where we are. We might ask questions as to where all that cash has particularly gone, perhaps residing somewhere near Belgium. Who knows?
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
But those sort of things are useful, but also just to sense check some of the things that sometimes come out, because they do seem, I mean, and I know it winds you just that, sometimes things haven't gone through not a filter, but literally a common sense check, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's improved a little bit. I think a lot of that has improved a little bit. I was a bit shocked with the thing that we spoke about with Ollie from OK Football, with the away day thing where they were doing pictures of drains and overflowing bins and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still not sure that was a massively wise idea, but I think it has improved quite a bit. The general communication, we're not getting so much of this "we go again" stuff now. I think a lot of the handing the camera around at the end to the players and stuff just gives a different thing. There's the shots now when the goals go in and the reactions from the bench. I like all that sort of stuff. It's not just training videos every week. So that was what was bugging me. It was always training videos, getting off of buses. Look how brilliant we are, and blatantly we're not brilliant. And you're trying to sell this thing as, how wonderful Watford are when we're just doing terribly. I think there's a little bit more humility in it now. So it's not quite as bad as it used to be. I actually do like the comms that are coming out of the club at the moment, rather than shaking my head and going, oh no, not this again. So yeah, I think that has improved a bit. I actually think that has improved.
I think the difficulty is what is allowed out or what comes out from the top table. I mean, see the Coventry message, see the thing for detail. Interesting here, Melanie. I hope don't mind me sharing this. Got to a game at 1:45 and was subjected to a full search for my own safety, nearly 60, and in the SEJ. Give me a fucking break. Quite right. I went to the quarter final of the FA Youth Cup, and a well-known supporting lady, who's a friend of mine, was there in front of me, and I went up and said, "Go on, yeah, you're going to need to frisk her because you'll need to, because just being funny." And she turned around, and gave me a look like thunder, because the guy was telling her he needed to search everything, full search. This was at the FA Youth Cup, and she said, "I wasn't even searched coming into the Luton game." And this is what I mean about consistency of approach. What is acceptable? It should be by consent of the individual concerned. And 18 months ago, I went off on one because, exactly as Melanie was saying there were women basically being assaulted, for want of a better phrase, or should we call it enthusiastically searched? I don't like that going on at my club, and I'll do everything I can.
I had a situation at the last home game where, coming down Yellow Brick Road, there was women being forced to be searched before they entered the ground, but they were males, but they were using the metal detector thing they've got and checking bags and stuff like that. Yeah, but then when I got to the entrance I go into, which is just at the bottom there on the right hand side into the Rookery, there was 4 women stood there waiting to search women, because it for whatever reason it was just young lads, men of a certain age, me, whatever. But they were just standing there. So I said to them, "You might want to go up there, because there's like about 15 women in the queue being searched by a bloke. Are you guys not needed up there?" And they're like, "Oh no, we get told to stay here." I'm just like, and that's common sense again. And that's probably where, and I'm not just blaming the club for this, because it is obviously an outside company. But whoever's in charge, well, we know who's in charge of it. Whoever's organising it, sort it out, because it is a bit of a mess and it's a bit embarrassing. And as I've proven, I go all over the country with this club, and we don't get this crap elsewhere. So
no, somebody else put on, I'm nearly earlier on, and this was a gent in this particular instance. You know, I'm 70. I don't get this anywhere else. That's absolutely ridiculous. WFC 123 comes out with an excellent point, which is
Oh, that
synchronized
drives me
in the
insane.
lower GT.
They do it in the Vicarage Road as well. They all just walk down the stairs at the same time.
I think it's a dance club. I think they're actually part of some sort of outside
show of we're still here, isn't it?
We did suggest this. I think it was about 2 years ago when I found that you could get little yellow, and I used the word, and I'm going to use it again because it's very pleasing. Fluoro yellow tabards. I'm going to like that.
Yeah,
and I suggest for 99p. Now, I think if everybody in the crowd, I mean, there's a lot of fun to be had with this. We all go dressed as stewards. I think this would be a blinding idea. You can imagine walking up to them and they're all looking at us and we're all dressed as stewards and just walk up to one of them and go, do you mind if I search you? I mean, could you imagine the confusion? He's going, I thought I was a steward, but I appear to have been a customer. What's going on?
Yeah.
And then the entire crowd on 70 Minutes gets up, walks down the steps, turns around and all walks back up.
It's just ridiculous that. And at 80 minutes, they all come out at 80 minutes. They all come out with their little stalls because they're going to, in case you want to storm the pitch, they all sort of come back. Yeah, sorry, Carlos. Yeah.
No, it's fine, mate. I will say something. The area that I obviously stand in, which is the 1881 area, there's 5 or 6 stewards now that they've kind of assigned to us. And 4 out of the 5 or 6 are actually sound. They're really nice guys, and they do generally try their best to help. So yeah, they're not all bad, and it's difficult, isn't it? They're I had the thing on the vlog. Was it last season? The guy being basically thought he was a copper.
He was,
yeah, exactly. So
we kicked up a bloody great big fuss. Had meetings with the club. And it had improved. We'd had lots of it, but in the last 3 to 4 weeks, it's just been picked up again for some reason.
Since the Luton game, I've noticed it. Since the Luton game, they've almost like turned the pressure back on.
But I like the fact that you've got some regulars, because then it becomes a relational sort of thing.
Yeah. Which is what it always used to be.
Yeah, but it used to be that these were in-house stewards. They were part of the club. And it being a third party makes it more difficult for them to control in a way, but it also makes them sort of like less useful if they're used to going to, I don't know, Wembley after or Tottenham or wherever they are. It's just a harder thing for them. So, fair play to them. And Bobby says, poor old stewards. So, yeah, no, let's be fair to them. I like the idea of jumping up and kind of dressing up as one of them. I think that's a good idea. Recruitment was the next the point you made, and we'll finish it there.
Nice to have some, wouldn't it? It'd be nice to have some recruitment.
Well, when does that start?
Let's give recruitment a go, I say.
Well, some people won't remember, but at the thing Parlaci Gino that we kind of that the fans got to put questions forward, there was a certain gentleman called Ben Manga. If you remember Ben Manga, he was about 3 technical directors ago. Yeah,
as a person, he was great. As his job, hopeless, but as a man, very impressive.
But what was really interesting for anybody who was there, he described, because I asked the question to Gino and said, right, there was a time when you didn't have him. It was a very much the Baldrick kind of how did the war start style of question from me. But it was like, you didn't have him. What were you missing in order to want to bring Ben Manga in? What does he give you that you didn't otherwise have? And he basically said, kind of access to certain markets and what have you. And then it turned to Ben. And he kind of stood up and he basically turned around and he said he described the recruitment that had gone on before as being agent-led, and that now we were going to move to be scouting-led. Right. And, of course, we all know how that ended up.
How's that worked out for you?
Yeah. We're still waiting for that, aren't we?
But that's the point. What's the point of having this globally renowned scouting network if all answers either turn to, dodgy moji, or it turns to, the Udinese boot room because of who else have we got?
I was going to say it's not even agent-led; it's Udinese-led. It seems.
But I think that's what's needed is something to scout, somebody to scout, and I think it would be really good also to just occasionally consider the lower leagues on occasions. Now on the 12:30 kickoff, which I watched prior to the Oxford game, was the Fens Derby, Cambridge playing Peterborough United.
Is that what it's called?
Fens Derby, is it?
Well, it is according to me anyway. It's and they've got a couple of players there at Peterborough. One is Cipriano, who we are linked very strongly with, and Tom cleverly came out and said something where he said, we think we'll get the other in the summer, and Luan suggested that might be him, and he may be right, we will see. But they've also got a lad called Poku, who was making his return because he's been out with injury, but he's absolutely lit the place up. I think looking at a little bit of non-league or a little bit of League One and League Two, I think we could do a lot worse in terms of recruitment. Sorry, Justin. I'll leave it there.
No.
That's I think an interestingly put question.
No, I agree. Cole Campion's done another cheeky one, but like Boxing Day, please can Justin share his worst Watford FC Good Friday and Easter Monday matches experiences? Good Friday, I can. That was the game against, was it Huddersfield when Backman got sent off and they had, what's his name in goal? the little chap whose name I forget. Hamza Chowdhury. That was my worst Boxing Day. What a waste of a day that was. We've got games all over Easter, haven't we? I don't like Easter games. It means you can't go or plan anything over Easter because you've got a game on Friday, game on Monday. Give us a break. Let's have a, although the season will be over soon when it will be moaning about close season, I suppose. But yeah.
Well, I've done something terrible actually, just on the back of that.
A holiday, haven't you? I can tell.
Well, I have booked a holiday, yes. But besides that, I've also, because now we have a German manager in charge of our national team, and I'm an England member, I thought, bollocks to it. Let's go and watch England again. So I'm going to watch England Albania on Friday. So that should be fun.
That's in England. That's not in Albania.
It's not in Albania. You'll be pleased to know. Yeah.
Have you been to Albania?
I've actually driven through Albania.
Have you?
Yeah.
I've been to Albania. I went to Saranda. It's very nice.
Yeah, it's a nice bit of the world.
Cool food.
There's a lot of the reason I was there was work related because there's actually quite a lot of stolen cars from the UK in Albania.
That's a different thing. That's a different thing. Listen, we've been doing this for an hour and a half now, and Carl, have you eaten yet? Because normally at this time, you haven't eaten. Okay.
No.
So normally we end for your dietary requirements.
I haven't eaten, so my dietary requirements are the same, but more.
Okay. So we will be back. It's going to be a while, isn't it, when we're going to be back? Because there's no game at the weekend. Who are we playing next? Is it Plymouth?
Plymouth. Is it 12:30 kickoff? Yeah.
Plymouth. So we'll need to speak to Green and White Pod and get Aaron on. And he's a great lad, but we're going to have to
be in the Red Lion before the game if anybody fancies a pint.
Talking of the Red Lion, have you had any celebrities coming in for a drink recently, Carlos?
It's funny you should mention that, Justin, because yes, I have. We had former heavyweight champion of the world, Anthony Joshua, come in and join us for a few bevies. Thoroughly nice man. Got a load of abuse on socials for having him there, but anyway, besides that,
why would you get abuse?
No, do you know what people are like, can't they? Yeah, but anyway, no, he was a thoroughly nice guy, and he, very, very open, very honest. Sort of looking to the future, still very adamant that he's got things to do in the heavyweight division. So stay tuned for that. I'm hoping so.
Very nice.
Yeah, be good. And I'm hoping, it's not confirmed, but I'm hoping to have a podcast with him, a recording for you. So that we'll look forward to that. There we are. Look at that.
I don't know if it's all terrified, to be honest.
If you look at my head there and the size of that man's fist, you should be terrified because he is a giant.
Could you have waited for him to come out of the toilet before you had that picture taken?
That's not in the toilet.
Is it not? Okay, fine.
No.
You're thinking of Troy Deeney.
Oh, I'm thinking of Troy.
No, that was Troy Deeney. Yeah, that was a. But I apologise for that.
Who's the most famous person you've had a pee next to?
Most famous person. Oh, I did. I was in the toilet with what's his Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Really? Where was that?
Yeah. Oh, it was years ago. I was in London. I forget where I was. I was at what's the theatre next door to that really posh hotel in London?
The Ritz.
The Ritz. Yeah. What's the theatre called there? I can't remember the name of the theatre. But anyway, I was in there. I was dying for. I got on the tube and I was dying for a pee, and I was. you know when you're sort of fumbling around, and I just went, and I was like, whoa, and this rather posh voice went, "Oh, I think you needed that," and I looked and I was like,
"Oh, I thought
That's
he was going
Webber.
I thought he was going to say that war is just what I need in my next production. Would you like to?
Oh no, that was marvelous, sir.
Soprano?
Marvelous. No,
No, I've had
yes.
a P next to Frank Skinner and Julian Temple, the film director. There you go. That's not quite as good as Andrew Lloyd Webber, I have to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, Frank Skinner was at the Coliseum when Oasis were playing there. I don't know why Frank was there, but he came out to everybody.
That was years ago. I remember seeing
2002. That was, yeah.
Right.
Anyway,
Right,
no one needs to know who you urinated next to, surely. Let's bring this to the end. We might do another one of these next week if we're bored. Never know. But if not, we will catch you. If we're bored, well, you guys might get bored. But if not, we will catch you after the Plymouth game for our usual space phone in. Thank you very much for watching, listening, and joining in. You Orns.
Leicester City have a penalty kick in the 6th minute of injury time.
Knockout takes, Almunia saves, knockout follows in, Almunia saves again.
And now Watford are on the counter-attack.
Forestieri.
Oh, I don't believe this.
Here's Hawk.
I do not believe what I'm